The launch date for the SpaceX 3 mission has not been reset yet, but when it does launch, the next Dragon cargo ship will deliver hardware for a number of new science experiments. One of them, known as Micro 7, is looking at the impact of microgravity on the human body at the cellular level. I spoke with the principal investigator, Dr. Honglu Wu, a life sciences researcher in the Biomedical Research and Environmental Sciences Division here at Johnson Space Center, and I asked him to explain what Micro 7 is.
When astronauts fly in space, they are exposed to microgravity as well as space radiation. So one of the important questions is that how cells respond to DNA damages induced from radiation exposure. So this particular experiment will fly human cells to space and damage the DNA in the cells with a chemical called bleomycin, and we will study the cellular response to such a damage.
So it sounds like there's kind of several different aspects of this. You fly, first of all, the DNA to space, then you damage it, and then, I guess, bring it back and study it?
Yes, and we'll fly live cells to space rather than naked DNA. Yes, then we will damage the DNA in space and then fix the cells in space and bring the samples back to the Earth and perform all the analysis on the ground.
Now, how unique is this? Have we had DNA in space before, or have we damaged it in space?
Yes, DNA has been damaged in space, and there has been a number of experiments before. But there are a couple of novelties in our experiment. One is that previously the cells were damaged by radiation sometimes immediately after they reach orbit. But in this case, we will let the cells adapt to the space environment before damaging the DNA. And two is that we will look at the molecular changes, DNA, RNA, and protein changes after DNA damages. And this has not been done in space by other investigators.
Okay. And I guess this is all to kind of simulate what we think happens in space to astronaut DNA?
No, this is only the first step of serious experiments, I hope, to address these important questions as to how cells or human body respond to damages to space radiation exposure. And unfortunately, currently we don't have a controlled radiation source in space. So the first step is to produce such a damage with a chemical.
Okay, interesting. Well, what kind of things can you learn from this?
We learn many different things. Basically, the most importantly, we'll know whether the cells in the microgravity environment are more sensitive to radiation damage or more resistant to radiation damages, or using a more technical terms, is how DNA repair will be affected by the microgravity environment.
And is that something that we would see the repair in this experiment, or is that, do you hypothesize that?
Yes, and we will look at the DNA repair by analyzing the gene expressions, particularly those genes responsible for DNA repair.
Okay. Well, what part do the astronauts play in this experiment? Do they have any interaction with it?
Yes, and this is a rather complex experiment, as a matter of fact. So once the cells reach orbit, and after several days on the space station, the astronauts will treat the cells with bleomycin and then fix the cells at different time points. And for the analysis of DNA, RNA, and proteins, as well as the analysis for DNA damage markers.
Okay. Well, so is this something that is just applicable to space travel, or is it helpful for people here on Earth as well?
Yes, and as a matter of fact, if we can understand how space environment, microgravity in particular, influence the cellular response to DNA damage, and that would have an impact on Earth, and particularly in the field of radiation therapy, because some of the tumor cells are resistant to radiation damage, and if we will be able to identify some new pathways that will sensitize the cells to radiation, and that will be very helpful.
Sounds like it. Well, thank you so much for coming and talking with us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you very much. My pleasure.
All right. Again, this was Dr. Honglu Wu, who is the principal investigator for Micro 7. It's going to be launching on SpaceX 3, so we'll hope to hear more about that in the coming months. Thanks so much.
Okay. Thank you.